Hello everyone. So we are going to start the process of convection today. So in the process of convection, we are going to learn how this convection it takes place and how the heat it is transferred in the different pharmaceutical unit operation. So first of all, you should know that what is convection. So we have already discussed the concept of convection. The convection term itself, it means the partial mixing of two phases. Suppose here, if we consider this is a vessel which is having the water, right? If we are heating this water, then earlier conduction, in terms of conduction, it takes place via this vessel, right? The heat will be transferred via this vessel to the water. Now in case of convection, the lower layer which actually will get heated first, it will transfer the heat to the upper layer. This is the convection, means the conventional method of transfer of heat. Now the thing is that the convection process actually it is divided into two basic types. So one it is the conventional convection. The another one it is the forced convection. So what is the conventional convection? So in the conventional convection, as we have already discussed, the liquid, the heated liquid will exchange the heat with the cold liquid by its own, and this process it is somewhat slower as compared to the forced convection. But in the forced convection, what we are going to do in the forced convection, actually the heated liquid, in the forced convection the heated liquid may be allowed to pass through a tube, right? And this liquid will be pumped or will be forced to carry away the heat. That is the forced convection. Now this concept it is utilized in the pharmaceutical unit operation. So we are going to discuss this concept in details now. As we have already told you regarding the two processes, one it is the natural or conventional convection, the another one it is the forced convection. So we should learn how this process it actually takes place. See, basically, if we assume that there is a tube, now the tube it is carrying the hot fluid through it. Now how this hot fluid it is going to transfer the heat to the outside of the tube. So basically it has been found that in case of viscous fluid or generally any liquid, once this liquid it will be flowing through this tube, there will be three regions. One region it is like that, it gets stick to the wall. So I am showing you this region, right? This region, the first region it will be sticking to the wall and it will have a laminar, or you can say a layer flow. It will have a laminar flow, right? Similarly here also there will be a laminar flow region, right? Now in the center there will be turbulence. Or eddies with which the liquid will be flowing, right? Now next to this portion, here in the center there will be turbulent, in the wall there will be laminar, and here in between there will be exchange of turbulent and laminar. So it has been found that although this layer, the inner layer or the layer at the center, it is not showing much effect at the time of convection, although as because some of the layer it may get converted into laminar and some laminar layer may also get converted into turbulent, there may be also exchange of the heat can take place, But basically the exchange of the heat, it takes place via this stagnant layer. You should remember the importance of this stagnant layer. The flow of the heat through this pipe, it will take place only via this stagnant film of the liquid, right? Now the thing is that, as we all know that the liquid and the gases, they are very poor conductor of heat, right? So for the standard purpose of your study, we have, or we generally used to consider the copper. We generally used to consider the copper as the standard material for designing any sort of heater, right? Now it has been found that the water, generally our water, the water which we use in the pharmaceutical operation, this water actually, they are around 500 times, they are around 500 times more resistant as compared to that of the copper. And if there is air, air is about 1300 times more resistant as compared to that of the copper in terms of heat conduction. Okay. Now I have already drawn the structure for understanding of the convection process. So let us consider a scenario, right? So there is a pipe which is made up of the metal, right? Now through this pipe there is also a fluid. Through this pipe the heat will transfer. So there are two areas. This part, it is the hotter part, or the part which a higher temperature, right? Here also the fluid, it is flowing in a turbulent motion. This is the cold part. Here also the fluid, it is flowing in a turbulent manner, right? Now in the hotter part there are phases. So this is the interface which has been formed between the layer, that is the metal layer, with that of the water fluid, right? So it is, this interface is represented with H and H, this dotted line, right? This interface between this metal, it is written as MM, right? Similarly, this interface, the cold part, it is written as, this cold part, it is written as CC, right? Now the temperature at the hotter side, with the higher temperature, let it be TA, right? The temperature at the interface, it is the TB. So TB, it is the temperature which is at the interface. Now the temperature gradient, which is the temperature gradient between this TC and TD. This is the temperature gradient. The length or you can say the diameter of the pipe, let it be L. Now the heat will be flowing from this hotter side to this colder side, right? So T8 is the maximum temperature of the hotter side, right? Now TB is the temperature at the boundary on the hotter side. So it is the temperature at the boundary of the hotter side. Now TC, it is the temperature at the actual interface. You see here, TC, it is the temperature at the actual interface. Moreover, the curve TABC, just see, TA, TB, TC. Now this curve, it represents the temperature gradient from the bulk of the hot fluid. This TA, TB and TC, it will show the temperature from the hot, means bulk of the hot fluid, right? Bulk of the hot fluid to the metal wall. Similarly, this temperature gradient TD, TE and TEF, TD, TE and TF, it will show the transfer of the heat from this metal to the bulk of the cold fluid. Now to the colder side also, if we see, here also the water or the fluid, it is flowing in a turbulent manner, right? So this is the interface, CC, it is the interface, right? Now TF, it is the lowest or minimum temperature. This TF, it is the minimum temperature, right? And TC, it is the temperature at the boundary. Sorry, the TE, it is the temperature at the boundary, and TF, it is the temperature, it is the lowest temperature. TC, it is the temperature at the boundary, and TB, it is the at the interface. So now the T2 here, the T2, which I have shown here, the T2, it is what? The T2, it is the average temperature on the cold fluid side. T2, it is the average temperature on the cold fluid side, which is represented by the line, dotted line NN. And T1, it is the average temperature at the hotter side, shown by the line NN. Right? Now, let's discuss the process. So, how the heat conduction will take. So again, in this diagram, if we see the surface film coefficient, so the surface film here, it is the H and H towards the hotter side and CC towards the colder side. Now the thing is that this surface film, the HH and the CC, they actually plays a crucial role in providing the resistance toward the process of convection. So these layers, they will provide the resistance towards the process of convection. So you should have one idea, a basic idea regarding a term. This term, it is known as film coefficient. So what is film coefficient? So film coefficient, it is nothing but simply by definition, if somebody asks you, it is the quantity of the heat flowing through unit area of the film for unit drop in the temperature. I repeat, it is the quantity of the heat. Film coefficient, it is the quantity of the heat which is flowing through the unit area. Film coefficient, it is the quantity of the heat which is flowing through the unit area per unit drop of the temperature per unit time. Right? So let us have some calculations. So how the heat will be transferred by this process. Okay. So let's now discuss some few more things that need to be used in this derivation. First of all, we will assume this area, the area in the hotter side, as A1. It is the area in the hot side. Right? Now this area, which is in the cold side, it will be regarded as A2. This is the area in the cold side, right? Moreover, the average area of the metal, it will be regarded as the AM. So A1, this area, A2, this area, AM, this area, right? So now, as we have already discussed the film coefficient. So what is the film coefficient? It is nothing but the amount of the heat which is flowing through per unit area with a per unit drop in the temperature. So the heat, it will flow from this hotter region to this colder region. So let's first discuss what is the heat flow or drop of heat. So the film coefficient on the hotter side, the film coefficient on the hotter side can be written as film coefficient, it is designated with H on the hotter side. So we have assumed H1 is equal to, film coefficient is simply nothing but amount of the heat flowing per area per temperature difference. So H1 can be simply written as what? First of all, amount of the heat flowing. So let's the amount of the heat flowing be Q, small q, right? Now divided by area. This area, it is the A1. Next, what is the difference in the temperature? The difference in the temperature is simply nothing but it is the T1. T1, it is the average temperature. So T1 minus what is the temperature at the interface? This is the Tc. Right? Now similarly, if somebody asks you what is, but the thing is that you should know one more thing, that the film coefficient, this term, it is also used for other type of derivation. For example, this film coefficient here, we can use the film coefficient as, suppose 1 by H1 film coefficient, right? 1 by H1 into A1, or simply I can write like this so that you can understand well. 1 by H1 into A1, it is regarded 1 by this film coefficient, inverse of the film coefficient multiplied by the area. It is also known as the thermal resistance. I repeat, inverse of the film coefficient. Inverse of the film coefficient multiplied by area, it is known as the thermal resistance. Thermal resistance, right? So this is the film coefficient on this hotter area. Now let's discuss the film coefficient on the colder side. The film coefficient in this side, it can be simply written as H2 is equal to simple amount of the heat Q, right? Area, it is A2. Now temperature difference. What will be the temperature difference? The temperature difference will be, this temperature it is higher, right? So TB minus this temperature T2, average temperature on the colder side. So H1 is equal to Q divided by A1, that is the area, and temperature gradient or temperature difference. Here the surface coefficient on this side or film coefficient on this side, it is H2. In this side it is H2. H2 is equal to Q divided by A2, the area divided and multiplied by the temperature difference, right? Now the next term, it is the overall coefficient. The overall coefficient means the summation. So here there will be three coefficient or film coefficient. One we have already find, that is the H1, right? Here it is the H2. Here we will have one more. So the overall coefficient, first coefficient it is, I am writing like this, 1 by H1, right, into A1. This is the thermal resistance of the hotter side. This is the thermal resistance of the hotter side. Thermal resistance of hotter side. Now one more is there, that is 1 by H2 dot A2. This is the thermal resistance of the colder side, right? Now what is the thermal resistance of the metal? What is the thermal resistance of the metal? Simple, it is L. L means the length divided by K. This is the main proportionality constant into AM. The AM was, we have already discussed, AM was the average or mean area of the metal, right? So this is the thermal resistance, 1 by H1 into A1, that is thermal resistance of this side. 1 by H2 into A2, this is the thermal resistance of this side. And L, L it is the length. This is the length of this metal pipe divided by K. K it is the proportionality constant into AM, that is the average or mean area of the pipe, right? Now we have already discussed regarding the calculation of thermal resistance. So we know that the resistance, thermal resistance can be also summarized as we have already done in the process of conduction through the walls. So the process here also, the resistance can be summarized. The resistance at this part, the resistance at this part, the resistance at this part, it can be summarized as it is in the series. So the resistance can be summarized. So let us discuss or let us summarize the overall resistance. Overall resistance to the flow of the heat can be written as Q, that is the flow of the heat, is equal to delta T, that is the temperature drop between these two areas, divided by the overall film coefficient, or you can say overall thermal resistance, that is 1 by H1A1 plus L, this part, L, divided by K AM in average area, plus 1 by H2, right, coefficient into A2, that is the area. Now in this equation, if we multiply both the numerator, this numerator and the denominator with A1, what will happen? Here A1 will come, A1 into delta T, right? So A1 into delta T plus here if we multiply with A1, it will get cancelled out. So 1 by H1 plus LA1 divided by KAM, right? Plus 1 by here A1, sorry, numerator A1 divided by H2 into A2. So here I have already written. Now the overall heat transfer can be written as U1. Overall heat transfer can be now written as U1 is equal to 1 divided by this whole the denominator part. 1 by H1 plus LA1 divided by KAM plus A1 divided by H2 A2. Right? So this is the derivation. So now the rate of heat transfer. The rate of heat transfer is equal to, the rate of heat transfer is simply equal to overall heat transfer coefficient multiplied by area of the heating surface into the temperature drop. I repeat, the rate of heat transfer is equal to the overall heat transfer coefficient multiplied by the area of the heating surface multiplied by the temperature drop, right? Now if we consider the above equation which we have already written for a tube with a diameter of D, then in such case with a diameter of D and length of L, in such cases for a tube we can also assume that the diameter to be mean proportional to that of the area. So in such cases we can write the earlier equation as U1 is equal to 1 divided by 1 by H1 plus L into D1. Here in place of A1 we are using D1. L into D1 divided by K into Dm plus D1 divided by H2 into D2. Right? Now for some cases, suppose the ratio of D1 by Dm, D1 this area by Dm this area, if that is negligible, if that is very less, then this equation can be modified in this particular way. So don't get confused, I am writing this one more time. Just simply here plus 1 by H2 plus 1 by H2, this equation, if the, I am telling you the condition, if the ratio of the D1 by Dm it is very less and the ratio of D1 by D2 it is also very less, in such condition the above equation will get modified to this lower type. This is the H2. Now you should know on what are the factors on which basically this depends. So what are the factors on basically this all depends. So this equation, this written equation, this equation U1, the overall heat transfer is equal to 1 divided by 1 by H1 plus L by K plus 1 by H2. It is applicable in case of thin wall tube and thin wall plates. Now the thing is that you should know the factors which influence the film coefficient. The factors which influence the film coefficient are number one factor, it is the thermal conductivity of the liquid. The thermal conductivity of the liquid will determine the film coefficient or the film coefficient of the heat transfer process. Next, it is the specific heat of the film. It will also determine or it will also affect the thermal coefficient. The next factor, it is the density of the liquid which you are using here. The density of the liquid, it will affect the thermal coefficient. Turbulence of the fluid, the turbulence will also affect the heat transfer. And finally the thickness of the film, the thickness of this film, it will also affect the heat conduction through the process of convection through this pipe, right? So now the last part, that is the conduction or you can say convection of the heat through the pipes. Through the pipes. So let us consider that this is to be a pipe, right? Now the fluid it is flowing in this direction, right? By virtue of a pump. Now this fluid it is carrying the heat, right? So how the heat it will affect? Basically you see, first of all, this heat will also get transferred to the layer, right? This heat will also get transferred to this layer. This layer, they are going to transfer the heat to the outside. But the thing is that there, we have already discussed, there we will get a stagnant layer. This stagnant layer will resist the flow of heat. So this stagnant layer will finally determine with what speed or what motion this flow of heat will take place in the process of convection from the inner side of the pipe to the outer side. Now we are going to stop here. The other part of the convection will be discussed in the next class. So thank you everyone for your patience hearing.